Hey, how you doing? It's Chris Liam, Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist here again from Impact Performance Training. And here we're talking about our 3 tips to fit that we started on last week. So we're going to expand on that this week, and we're going to keep on hitting you every single week. This is what I love to do. I love to teach people. So I want to make sure that everyone out there that doesn't have access to training with me, it has the ability to still reach their fitness goals on their own. So the biggest thing, we're going to come with our 3 normal, our nutritional, our physical, and our mental. Alright, so today's nutritional goal is to cut it out. Alright, so the big thing is we got to change the way we think about when we're talking about our food. So one of the biggest things is we love sugar. We love the way food tastes, right? It releases tremendous amounts of dopamine in the brain, and it's a really thrill-seeking activity. That's why you see the food industry is a big booming business, and you see obesity is raising because we're more concerned on making the food taste good rather than the food taste be good for your body. So we want to switch over from the foods that taste good to the foods that are better for our body, and you'll learn that after a while these foods will start tasting a lot better to you once you start eliminating those artificial sugars, right? Our bad fats and our starches. The biggest thing is with our sugar, we have too much sugar in our blood, and what happens if you have too much sugar in your blood is over time we develop a condition called arteriosclerosis. Now, arteriosclerosis is the hardening of the vessels in our blood vessels and our arteries. Now, you don't want that to happen because that puts us at a tremendous risk at really popping a blood vessel, having a heart attack, or even a stroke. So you want to make sure that we got healthy arteries, healthy veins, and that blood is able to go through our body as clearly as possible. And another way we can make sure that's going on is by good fats, right? Because bad fats is going to build up plaque inside of our body, and we don't want that going on in our arteries because plaque, it's going to make a very, very narrow path for our blood to get through to our arteries and get through to our heart. So that's why you see a lot of people's blood pressure raised, because the blood's just not getting where it has to go. You have poor venous return, which is when your blood goes down to the lower portion of your body and has to fight back up to your heart to get back to the brain, get back to the lungs. You're increasing the blood pressure because there's a blockage somewhere. So the biggest thing is we want to make sure that we have clear passages and that we're not damaging the passageways. So by cutting out our starches, our sugars, right, and our fats, and let me remind you that starches is still part of our sugars, right? It's just a different type of sugar and it has a different effect because it takes a lot longer for it to digest in the body. And what happens is insulin is secreted. When insulin is secreted, it's a natural hormone that tells your body to store energy, right, for activity. Because you got to remember, when we were hunter-gatherers, we used to go out and hunt for our food and gather and farm and stuff like that. And now that we don't have to actually work for our food, we can just throw it in a microwave or go to the supermarket. It just really puts us in a bad position because now that eliminates a lot of the activity that we used to have. So let's cut back on our sugars. Main thing in our drinks. Let's stop drinking the sugary drinks, the sodas and all that stuff, and the sweet teas. I know, sweet tea is amazing. I lived in Georgia for 3 years, and I absolutely loved it, and I had to give it up. I still drink a little Gatorade, only when I'm working out, though. That's the key. You don't want to have a lot of sugar being stored up in your body. You can get that from your natural carbohydrates. All right? So like I said, the second one is fat. Let's eliminate the bad fats, the bad oils, a lot of the fries, a lot of deep fried food, big fatty meats and stuff like that. We want to eat more lean meat. It's a lot more healthier for us. And our starches, as far as for our starches, let's cut back on our potatoes. If we're going to eat a potato, let's make sure that we're eating like sweet potatoes and stuff like that, and we're at moderation. Everything at moderation is not, when you do things in moderation, it's okay. Alright, so we want to make sure that we're cutting down on the insulin secretion, because what's going to happen over time is if you're secreting too much insulin, just to digest your sugars and to store your sugars and stuff like that, to regulate our sugar levels, your pancreas is going to lose the ability, its sensitivity, so it's not going to secrete insulin as much, or the insulin's not going to have the same effect on the sugars later on in life. And that's what happens with diabetes, when the insulin no longer has an effect on the body, or the pancreas cannot produce enough insulin to compensate for the amount of sugar that's in our body. Alright, so the second one, is really, really good tip here for physical, is lifting heavy. A lot of people, go to the gym, they get their reps in. Girls, they want to stay away from the heavy weights. I understand you don't want to become a bodybuilder. But guess what? You're not going to become a bodybuilder from lifting heavy. What I mean by lifting heavy, I'm talking about deadlifts, I'm talking about squats, I'm talking about, Romanian deadlifts. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of the difference. Right? Our deadlift, our regular deadlift, picking it up from the ground. quad dominant, okay? We're getting tremendous muscle recruitment, and it's going to go all the way through our body, even up into our back. And it's also going to train our shoulders because we're holding the weight when we deadlift. So it's a very good exercise for your full body because it's recruiting all these muscles, right? And also our hormones. We have hormones that are released from our pituitary glands and such that only come out when we're lifting heavy, like cortisol, for instance, is released during heavy resistance training. And the job of cortisol is to tell your body when to basically digest and metabolize our carbohydrates. So cortisol is a very, very important hormone for weight loss because it's going to tell your body when it's time to burn those calories for you. Also, Romanian deadlift is a variation from the deadlift where they sometimes has the nickname of the stiff leg deadlift. Now the difference between, like I said, regular deadlift, quad dominant, right? But the Romanian deadlift really trains our posterior chain. So we got a lot of hips in these two exercises. Hip extension, hip flexion, very, very important for mobility later on in life. But with the Romanian deadlift, it's going to get a nice stretch in the hamstrings, and that's what I really, really like, because if we can get those hamstrings more flexible, that's going to give us better posture. And better posture is going to relieve our back pain. A lot of people suffer from back pain because the way that their spine lines up, it's a little bit crooked, and it releases some of our nerve endings, and that gives us a lot of the pain in our lower back. So if we can get better posture, we can eliminate back pain. And as far as squats, one of my favorite exercises, right? Because it's got deep squats, right? We're training those glutes. Girls, I know you love the glutes, right? We love having a nice butt. Victoria's Secret was on last night, and it was a very good show, and I know all the girls are probably looking like, oh, I want that body. Well, guess what? You can get that body, but you're going to have to do some squats, all right? Look at some of the girls with the better bodies, these fitness models and stuff like that. A lot of them are doing squats, squat jumps, lunges, all these types of exercises. But let me get into a little bit more of the squat and why it's so important. One of the biggest problems that we have as far as women of certain races is that we are prone for osteoporosis. Now, osteoporosis is the weakening or the brittleness of bones that causes breaks later on in life. So you'll see older people breaking a hip or breaking a leg. And a lot of this can come from just walking or stepping up a step because their bones are so weak. Because what happens is a diet, poor nutrition equals not enough calcium. Calcium is now stripped from your bones in order to compensate. And we want to make sure that we're getting the calcium in, number one, but two, axial loading. What axial loading is going to do is going to improve your bone mineral density, right? And axial loading is anytime you have weight coming down. So when we have the squat, right, our whole entire axial skeletal system is supporting the weight. And when we come down and we squat, right, we're training our legs and we're training our ligaments and our knees and our hips, and we're becoming a lot more mobile. And it's also going to recruit a lot of our bigger muscle groups like our quadriceps, our hamstrings, our glutes, right? Very, very important. So once again, axial loading is going to prevent osteoporosis in the long run, but you have to do the nutrition part. All right, our last tip of the day is our mental tip, okay? Eliminate the threat. And what I mean by eliminate the threat is you got to start making some behavioral changes, okay? Sometimes, going out to eat with your friend or in happy hour isn't the best idea because what kind of foods are at the bar? Fried foods, fattening foods, because once again, in our food, it's made to taste good, right? Because if it tastes good, we want more. And if we want more, we buy more. And if we buy more, they make more money. So the food industry's number one job is to sell food. Okay? So we've got to get off that change. You're going to have to eliminate some of that threat, and you're going to have to make some behavioral changes. A little more into that. Shopping list, right? A lot of times I'll come home, and there'll be some crap in the house, and I'll eat it, and I feel like, man, why did I eat that? All right, so the biggest thing is eliminate that. If it's not in the house, you're not going to eat it. So make sure on your shopping list, you're only shopping for, nutritious foods. And don't shop when you're hungry. Lesson my mom taught me one time. I would go to them, I swear when I was living in college, I would go to, maybe on a budget of $75, I'd come back $150 in the hole because I see this, I grab that, I see that, I grab that because I'm hungry. My mind's saying, oh, you need this. And a lot of times I was grabbing foods that probably weren't good for me because I wanted to be able to rip it open and eat it. So Hot Pockets, all those foods that are made fast, terrible for you. All right, so the third thing about our eliminating the threat is support, okay? And that goes along with the shopping list and the behavioral threat. You got to have people in your corner. If you don't have any support, it's going to be hard to do this. You got to remember that your friends, when they go out and they want to drink and they want to eat bad foods, and you're in a mission to lose weight, it's probably not the best idea. So you need to surround yourself around people with similar goals. Health clubs, going to these people, that's why it's very, very good to find a personal trainer. Or it's very, very good to work out with a buddy. Because if you're both working towards the same goal, if you're working out with a buddy and you guys are hungry after your workout, you're both not going to say, hey, let's go to Chi-Chi's or let's go to Chili's and get some salsa and all kinds of these unhealthy foods. You're probably going to want to go get something like a salad with a light dressing or something like that. Very, very healthy for you because, that person in the back of your mind saying, hey, I'm trying to get better. And if you're both trying to get better, you can help each other get better. So the biggest thing, like I said, support systems when you're eliminating the threat. Don't go towards the crowd. A lot of the crowd just wants you to do what's fun. They're not really concerned with your health. Majority of Americans aren't really concerned with their health at all until it's too late. But I know you're different, and I know you're going to make the right choices. So once again, nutritional, physical, and mental. Cut it out, lift heavy, eliminate the threat. You follow these 3 goals this week, you're on your way once again. Now, this is 3 tips to fit with Chris Lingham once again. You can visit my website at www.performimpact.com. You can visit me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/impact856, or you can come on down to the sports club and train with me in person. All right, and that's 14 Federal Street, Mount Laurel, New Jersey. I'm always willing to take on new clients, and I'm always willing to answer questions. So please contact me on Facebook, email me at impactyourperformance@yahoo.com. Anything. Give me a call if you know my number, or leave a comment on the video. Biggest thing is, I'm here for you. I believe in you, and if you believe, you can achieve. Alright, this has been Chris Lingham, Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist, and the owner of Impact Performance Training, helping you get fit. Thank you.